What up, guys? Welcome back, fellow Suplexians. We are here with another episode of Valley of the Suplex. I am your host, Niko. Looking forward to getting into everything with you guys. We got an exciting pay-per-view on the horizon, but before we get into stuff like that, we're gonna go around the horn here and introduce the boys. I got Chris Patrick to my right, and underneath we got Matt. How we doing, gentlemen?
Doing well, man.
What up, what up? Glad to be back. We quickly changed this once a month podcast into an every 2 weeks podcast. I'm really excited for this one. And the lead up to Bash in Berlin, the very first one. So let's get into it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like Chris mentioned, man, this is the first pay-per-view in Germany. I am super excited about that because we're going to see these crazy European fans. I mean, I don't know about you guys. I get super jacked when we have an out-of-country pay-per-view because I feel like it kind of puts the American fans in check a little bit. Like the next Monday Night Raw out of Berlin, like in America, you'll hear the crowd be louder than they were, the build up to Berlin. So I don't know. I always enjoy that. But yeah, let's get into it. I mean, we got some interesting matches that we're looking at here, guys. The first one I kind of want to talk about, to be honest with you, is the strap match. Recently announced, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre are going to have a strap match. Matt, if I'm not wrong, didn't CM Punk tear his tricep in a strap match?
Is that what he tore his tricep in? I think it might be, yeah.
Yeah, I think it concerns me. It concerns me.
That's fair.
I mean, we just came back. This is the thing, is that and maybe it just feels like this, but it feels like we just came back from injury. So putting him in a strap match with a torn tricep that, like Matt said, is torn twice. I don't have a lot of confidence in that. I love CM Punk. Like I said on the last show, it was great to see him out on a pay-per-view, like doing his thing, looking kind of healthy. Like I said, he did look a little old manish, but what are you going to expect? Father time comes for everybody at some point. But yeah, man, that one, I don't know. That one concerns me. I love that we're prolonging the Drew CM Punk rivalry because they do such a good job with it. Mm-hmm. The whole bracelet being like a thing. I don't know if you saw like at FanFest, CM Punk's biggest like gift was fans giving him like bracelets that said like AJ Lee and Frank on them and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. I kind of want to get your opinion on this one, Matt, because I know you are a CM Punk guy for sure. Oh, yeah. How are we feeling about this, strap and all?
Punk's got a second tricep. He'll be fine. He said the other day he's going to keep paying the price until the wheels fall off. That's a hell of a quote for a guy that's been around a long time. At the end of the day, the one thing I appreciate about this program that they're in is for as big as Drew is, they don't make him come off as a monster against Punk. Like, he could just, based on size alone, he could probably just steamroll him. But, if you look at it from surface level, right? But Punk being the, borderline legend, right? Being at the age that he is now, they kind of make it into a fair fight, but it looks good in actual action. So I'll take it for sure.
Yeah, Niko, to jump in here, just quick research. It looks like Punk tore his triceps during the Royal Rumble in January after being eliminated by Cody Rhodes. So that was not a strap match as far as I'm concerned, but a very interesting choice. I haven't heard of a strap match happening in a while. Maybe they're more frequent and common than I realized, but thought it was a weird choice.
Yeah, you are right. He did. You're absolutely correct. The torn tricep happened at Royal Rumble, and then the AEW torn tricep happened wrestling Moxley at All Out, and that was not a strap match either. I do know that Punk did have a great, I believe it was a strap match. Man, now I'm like second guessing everything. I think he had a great strap match with MJF when he was in AEW. But I'm looking forward to it because we've seen them pull out the Texas Bull Rope match with Cody, Hell in a Cell, the last Hell in a Cell. where Cody came out or with a bruised pec. They pulled out. That was a Texas Bull Rope match in Chicago.
Punk and Umaga had one years ago.
Okay, there we go.
And then
I love Umaga.
Eddie and JBL, I think, too, had a good one. This is years and years ago. But
yeah. It's been a while since you've seen WWE like really pull out. I mean, man, like not to like really hard like joke on it, but like, dude, hardcore matches for the past decade have kind of been like, where are we? We're in Nashville. Okay, it's going to be the Music City street fight, and then it's just going to be a hardcore match that's got a cute name on it. Like that's been hardcore matches for WWE. So it's nice to see us bring back stuff like a strap match, you know, something that is old school where you hear names like Punk and Umaga. Man, I would kill to see Punk and Umaga strap up again.
I mean, you have to do a lot to get Umaga to do anything now. But
well, yeah, it would start with a robbery of a grave.
Just throw that out there, you know. Daniel Bryan and The Fiend had one too. I think that was the other one I was trying to think of.
Really, man. Okay, I need to go watch that because I don't remember that. That
was probably the best. That was probably the best Fiend match in general from that era.
I was not to like switch gears, but I was a massive Bray Wyatt Fiend fan, and some of those matches, I'm looking back on them. I mean, the cage match with Rollins at Hell in a Cell, where it was all red lit and not great, and that was an interesting match. But yeah, I'll have to check that out. But let's kind of linger on down the road here. That is going to be interesting. I definitely am fucking excited for that. That's probably, honestly, after looking at what we've got on the card so far, the strap match is what I'm looking forward to the most. And that's partially because we have Gunther versus Randy Orton, which we kind of brushed on a little bit. This is a classic WWE sell tickets, but we know who's winning the match kind of a match. I don't think Randy's taking the belt off of Gunther. I would love it to be, but I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited because it's gonna be a fun match to watch.
All right, take a ride with me. We're gonna go on the conspiracy theory train here for a second. Okay,
let's run it.
Randy wins the belt. Cena comes for the belt. Cena holds it until Mania. Cena loses it and retires.
I'm with that. I'm with that for sure. I think Cena has filming obligations.
I'm sure he does, but he could definitely be a part-timer and hold a belt. We saw someone hold that for a real long time as a part-timer just recently. So
well, and does it do the belt damage if it goes to Cena and he's part-time holding it after Seth was such a workhorse with it?
I don't disagree with you. I just think it would be. I think they find a way to get a belt on Cena one last time.
I think they do too.
I think that's a vessel to do it, but that's a long time for him to hold it before Mania. So
yeah, but I'm seeing here, and correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like he's not starting his farewell tour until January, and then it'll be 36 appearances throughout the entire year. So what, WrestleMania is May, June,
April 20th this year.
Yeah. So it'll be his last Mania. I kind of would have liked to see him retire at Mania, but I get it. You know.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I do think they figure out how to put a belt on him.
I think it happens one last time. I don't know how, even if it's very short-lived.
With that amount of time, I mean, I think they have every opportunity to do it, and if they don't, I mean, I think that would be like a Vince McMahon type of thing to do, right? But I don't know if Triple H would be that cutthroat.
I think that you would like to see the company thank John Cena, right? You know, you want to talk about really pulling. I mean, before we had the John Cena movement, it was Edge and Lita naked under sheets, you know, like which
I'm with. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, for sure. It made WWE a lot of money, is what I'm saying.
The live sex celebration was an entire movement in and of itself.
It was. I think for what John's done for the company, I think that the company owes it to let him break Ric Flair's record, honestly. Because if you go through that locker room, most of those young guys and girls will tell you John Cena is the reason that they're in that locker room.
Yep.
So I do agree with you. I think that they get him on it. I don't know if that's the route, but I do think we're in for one hell of a little chop fest between RKO and Randy Orton there, or Randy Orton and Gunther there.
Yeah, that could get interesting quick for sure. Hey,
yeah,
what a way to stick it to the European fans. Let Randy have it all match, and then he wins at the end.
Man, if that's you want to talk about it, because think about the fact that Gunther is from Austria, so he is a
Close enough.
Yeah, spit down the road from where they're doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And you got so many Austrians and Germans in that building for Gunther, and you make it look like Gunther's going to win the match the entire time, and then RKO out of nowhere. Like, give me like a top rope RKO out of nowhere for the belt.
Mm-hmm.
The arena's stunned silent. I'm here for that. That would be super sick. We'll see what happens.
I'm down for that all day long.
I did. Go for it, Chris.
So I just saw this article that Randy Orton hasn't had a singles main event in 4 years.
Yeah, that sounds about right. He's done a lot of tag stuff. He was also gone for like 18 months. He was hurt,
it was like a year and a half that he was out with the back. And then, he was RK Bro for a long time with Sir Matt Riddle, who is now doing children's birthday parties. I saw that on Instagram the other day. That was funny.
Fall from grace.
Yeah, seriously, dude. A year ago, you were tag teaming with Randy Orton. Now you're doing swanton bombs for birthday cake. But yeah, no, I do look forward to that match as well. The one match, honestly, guys, that I'm not looking forward to, and we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it. I just want to briefly run over it. Is Cody versus KO. This is just blatantly almost a dumbed down version of what we get with Gunther and RKO, which is you kind of know who's going to win this thing going into it. Except this one, you know for sure. And I'm a big KO fan, man. I like a chubby boy who wrestles with the shirt on. I don't know. I would have liked to see KO actually, win a belt. But they keep doing this to him, where he's Roman's plaything or he's Cody's plaything, or
that might honestly be the biggest swerve of all time if he took that belt off Cody.
Oh, I think there would be some very visceral reaction to that.
Unless it's like an immediate rematch or something hinky happens or something like that, you know what I mean? But I can't see that going any way other than Cody.
Yeah, and especially with how WWE has talked about, like, they couldn't give Cody the belt because he wasn't ready to be the face of the company. And now you obviously see that they're pushing him as face of the company now that that year has passed and he has the belt. I don't think that. Yeah, I think that's a bad business move. You try to take
conspiracy theory again. Cody wins by DQ. Cody heel turn.
Oh,
because they're friends.
Well, and that's what I think is
Cody goes out of his way to get DQ'd. That could start a whole other program with KO. That could be interesting.
But that's what I think is weird, because they're both a face right now, right? Neither of them is the heel in this one, so.
Which usually means a turn is coming.
Right.
And a KO heel turn would be weird. So,
but Cody's so well liked and received right now. Do you think that they would turn that on its head? Like,
hey, you could have think about this. In the early 2000s, it's speaking of recycling old program ideas, right? Early 2000s, they tried their damnedest to make Stone Cold Steve Austin a heel, and made him an asshole to everybody, and we got one of the most well-liked characters in the history of wrestling. So you could do something like that with Cody. It's not going to be the same thing, but if you get like a darker Cody, that would be, I think, a really cool turn, even if he doesn't go full heel. So
that would be cool to see. I mean, I'm here for that. It's always interesting because it does feel like baby faces hold belts for shorter time periods than heels. So, and I think that's because it's hard to play a baby face on top. I think it's a lot easier to play the struggling underdog baby face. So that, I mean, shit, Matt, you might be onto something. I kind of like the way you're thinking. But yeah, that's going to kind of, I mean, obviously, guys, we still don't have all of the matches announced for Bash for Berlin, so we can't go super in depth into it. But from what I hear, if my biggest fallout is Cody and Kevin Owens, That's the match that I'm not looking forward to the most. I think we have a pretty decent card so far. It'll just be interesting to see how it plays out. And like I said before, I do think WWE tends to take a pass when it comes to some of these international shows, as far as what talent is on the card and what talent, what matches they get. Where this could be like, so far, I mean, okay, let me just say this: minus the strap match and the championship matches, you make them regular matches, and that's a Friday Night SmackDown. So all we've done is, click the right bumper on WWE 2K and made it a title match. So, and honestly, sometimes that's all it takes to make it compelling. But let's kind of get on to some, I guess, day to day. We'll talk Raw, SmackDown happenings. We were kind of talking about this pre-show, guys. WWE, for the first time, I think ever, has let in cracks in the foundation of the New Day. This is very intriguing because this is the same way we talk about John Cena is the same way we should talk about the New Day. And that is, they made the company money hand over fist in that time period where nobody was really watching the product. They were your most popular tag team. They had Kofi, who was probably, one of the more influential like WWE figures in his little time there. Because Kofi was one of the few characters to break the racist accent that Vince bestowed upon him as the man from Jamaica, and made it himself. And if you know anything about the New Day, man, you know that basically WWE tried to drown him with shit storylines, and these three guys refused to let it happen and became household names and fan favorites. Does everything happen for a reason? Yeah, but like, Matt, this is kind of a little surprising, isn't it?
I almost literally said R.I.P. Big E, but like, obviously he's still with us.
Yes, he is.
But also kind of, you know what I mean?
Of.
Like,
yeah.
I don't think he's ever going to wrestle again, and that sucks. But
No. Yeah.
At the end of the day, they deserve their flowers for sure. I'd say they're arguably the best tag team that WWE's had in like 15 years at least, if not longer. For most of my adult life, at least. By far. I'd say at this point you could probably say they arguably saved the tag division.
Oh, for sure.
They carried it for about 8 years at least, just by themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the Revival was there for a while. You had some other guys that were there for a while, but nobody really has carried that mantle the way that they did for so long. Kofi won that championship and we absolutely all lost our minds, right? Big E got hurt and it's kind of been off the rails ever since, because you just can't quite have the same setup that you had before. It's been a great run, but to a certain point, they're not the same team that they were before because they're not the same trio. So maybe it's time for them to retire that to an extent, or maybe they just stop doing tag matches and still function as a stable. I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
But I think, as we're all aware, New Day rocks. Don't get me wrong. It must be said.
Has to.
But, at a certain point, I think they'll both stick around long term. I don't think they're going anywhere, but I think maybe it is time for them to hang up the tag side of things and just go their own way or just support each other on a solo journey.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. The Usos are probably the last real big tag team to break up. That happened rather recently, and I think WWE was very hesitant to break them up. And look, it hasn't gone terrible for Jay. I don't think it's been the Whopper and Max Sauce that they thought it was going to be, but I do think that it's worked out. I do think that you make a great point that is not the same New Day as what we are to know. And I wonder, Chris, do you think that with with them basically putting these cracks in the New Day, do you think that is it for Big E? Do you think that that's like we're done? We don't get Big E anymore because we're officially cracking this down?
Yeah, I think it's hard to imagine. I mean, he's 37 years old. He had that horrific neck injury. Sounds like he was advised by doctors to never wrestle again. Now, whether athletes take the advice of doctors wholesale or not is another thing. But I was just quickly reading up on his injury a little bit more, and he said when he was 23, first getting into the industry, he described it as a death wish. He didn't really care if he died in the ring; he was going to lay it all out on the line. But now that he's 37, a little older, a little more perspective, he doesn't quite fancy that very much. But I don't know. I honestly don't think it's completely out of the realm of possibility because it sounds like his rehab went really well. He doesn't have any, lasting damage, no nerve damage or anything like that. So physically, he might very well be capable. But I think in a lot of sports, and especially one like this with those types of moves, is you can't hesitate. And if he has any type of hesitation or doubt in his mind, he could inadvertently hurt himself. So I'm leaning towards it being unlikely that we ever see him in the ring again in a wrestling capacity.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that. Unfortunately,
yeah,
it's a neck injury, right? Like, you can't really fuck around with that. Like,
well, tell that to Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, Daniel Bryan is yeah.
He's also it's not the same, right? And Daniel Bryan was an absolute fiend of a workhorse trying to get back to getting into the ring. You know what I mean?
Well, and what about Kurt Angle? I mean,
yeah, he won a gold medal with a broken freaking neck.
Yep.
There's also a reason that he was Perk Angle for about 10 years. So
yeah, the greatest heel in wrestling history.
Hey, he was a one-man evil empire.
Oh, it was so great.
But he did also give us Joe and Angle for all the gold, and that was the coolest thing ever. It was the dumbest thing ever, but it was a really cool picture. Just, you're holding the tag belts and literally everything else for an entire promotion. All right, let's go.
Yep. Dude, yeah, I think we all kind of in agreement here, man. The neck is not worth it. Big E is almost 40 years old. You got family, we're making business decisions here. He's going to make his money with WWE on the outside, being an ambassador. I mean, dude, look at what is Titus O'Neil does this, where he's just in the community, and as a member of WWE, doesn't wrestle anymore, doesn't. So I'm sure Big E will be in the building there in Connecticut, but yeah, unlikely and probably the complete end of the New Day. So that's a little sad. Kind of sticking in the realm of tag teams here, and this is super rumor mill. So take what you want from it, but Penta El Zero Mero and Rey Fenix, aka the Lucha Bros, are supposedly making way to WWE from AEW. I personally am super excited about this. I know Rey Fenix has been in WWE before. I don't believe Penta has, and I'm a big Penta fan. I'm a huge Zero Mero, and I think that AEW has not billed them correctly in a little bit. Surprise, surprise. And I think that maybe letting, Shawn Michaels in NXT, just let him loose in that NXT arena, man, that would be we'd have some fun matches. So I'm excited about this. I hope it's true, but like I said, it's super rumor mill. Matt, what do you think about this?
As long as they stay as far away as possible from anybody associated with the LWO Redux, I'm good with it. I don't want to hear anybody talk about anybody being a former luchador or any of that other shit. Either give me 100%, or I don't want to see it. That's just my 2 cents on that. If you're gonna put lucha in your tag team name, especially, bring the shit.
Yep. And that's so I have seen these boys live in Chicago, and man, they were awesome. It was totally lucha, tight roping the third rope and all sorts of crazy flips. I would be just super pumped to see. Let's throw it back and do like a tag ladder match, which I don't feel like we've had in a very long time, and just let 6 tag teams go at it. And let one of the Lucha Bros be one of those tag teams, and just let these guys do flips off of fucking ladders, and tell me that we won't be entertained.
I can only think of one reason that they don't do those big ladder matches anymore. Well, TLC matches in general, but
Yeah.
I mean, Joey Mercury is still seared into my skull, so that's a whole other thing. But I mean, hey, if you can find a way to make it happen, you find some guys that are. I mean, I would love to see true luchadors go up against like Ricochet and somebody else.
Yeah.
I just like athleticism against athleticism always makes for awesome matches.
Yep. Speed on speed.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I just that would be really cool to see.
Yeah, I agree. I think if like, and I know that AEW has called it talent poaching. I think when you just don't treat your talent the way your talent's supposed to be treated, people are going to be unhappy and leave. That's pretty fair for any workplace. So I don't know.
Isn't that AEW's business model?
Kind of. I mean, it's we don't have an HR and we're an unsafe workplace. That's our business model here.
I mean, they started out, it was like either we'll never go to WWE or we were in WWE.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at where did Mox come from? Where did like half of their roster come from? They're all WWE guys. Yeah,
I mean, even down to Rey Fenix in this picture, he was, I think, Kalisto in WWE. So like, I mean, it was a lot of guys that came from WWE, and now all of a sudden it's like, yeah, dude, you have a talent pool that's too deep and you don't use them. It's not poaching. It's picking low fruit, like I hate to break it, but yeah, I'd be super excited for this. I think the tag division needs a shot in the ass. I don't know what it is, but like it feels like tag wrestling has become boring.
Dude, that's what I was thinking exactly. Is just like this would be the perfect addition because the tag scene has just been lackluster at best. To where if you can have some two guys, high flyers, the lucha thing, like it's honestly a little bit of a throwback. Like I think it's great. I'm all here for it. And AEW bitching about it. I mean, when you're AAA, you can't be mad when the major league calls the players up.
Exactly.
Ooh, shots fired.
I love it. That is a shot for sure. But I mean,
it's
you're
not even really a spicy take, but you're not wrong.
Yeah, you're not wrong. So, I mean, shit. Speaking of poached talent, where the fuck is Dragon Lee?
That's a great point.
I could have swore that at some point we had this big like, oh my god, Dragon Lee's coming to WWE. This is such a big signing for WWE. He's going to start at NXT. Fuck,
isn't he technically part of the LWO?
Yes, which was a frustration point of mine to begin with because it was like look. I'm just going to call a spade a spade. You can't just put people together because they're all Hispanic.
Correct.
That's not how factions work.
Oh, you can't do that.
I mean, I think The Rock probably could have a thing or two to say about that. Actually, twice over.
Yeah, probably.
Booker T would probably have something to say about that too. But I get your point.
Yeah.
I like Dragon Lee a lot. I think if the Lucha Bros come around, somehow he'll end up being either in a program against them or maybe team up with them.
Yep.
There are a few guys I would love to see them not do anything with. It is what it is. I'm not going to get into. I won't go on that tangent right now. But I think there are just certain guys that would not be a good fit for them to match up against. I also don't want to see the old like mid OOs era like put London and Kendrick against all the huge guys thing that we had for a long time.
Yep.
Also, Brian Kendrick is a great thing to not talk about in wrestling right now, but that's a whole other other tangent to go off on. Long story short, I think you have to have the right fit for a lot of matches, which is why going back to the New Day stuff, being able to operate under the Freebird rules is actually a really big benefit for tag teams. So having that 3-man crew actually really helps, because then if you have a mixed tag team where it's one big guy and one more athletic or high flyer, it makes a big difference to be able to kind of be a chameleon as a team. So
I think it also adds like like a competitive sports aspect of it too, right? Because like you got a match where you got a tag team that's got 3 little speedy guys, and you got 2 speedy guys and a big guy. Like that gives you a different dynamic, So I love the Freebird rules. I think those are honestly like I think that's probably how you maybe make the tag division a little bit spicier, if we're being honest. But yeah, the tag division is solely lacking. So anything that we can do to help it. Dragon Lee, hopefully we'll see you with the emergence of the Lucha Bros, because I like your work. I think you're a great wrestler. I just don't know why we're not seeing you. So, I mean, and like, no offense to Andrade, but like, we're seeing Andrade, but we're not seeing Dragon Lee. Like, I mean,
Andrade is like falls under that former luchador category. I feel like in a lot of ways, amongst some other guys from the LWO, but that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, I think he also falls in the nepotism category because he's married to Charlotte Flair. So,
no comment. Yeah, leaving and then coming back and still getting pushes is wild to me.
Yeah, wild. Leaving the way he did too. It wasn't a quiet exit. He was very unhappy.
Publicly go to AEW, and then when that doesn't work out, you just somehow manage to get back in. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Yeah, guys. So we only got a couple more things here. It's gonna be a shorter episode today, just because we haven't had as much going on in the wrestling world. There hasn't been as many. We're kind of in that simmering of storylines right now, so there hasn't been as much for us to really get into. But since we have all 3 of us here, I'd like to know everybody's top 3 childhood wrestlers. Matt, we can start with you, my man.
I don't know if I can give you childhood, but I can give you teenage years at least.
Yes, best works.
And forward. I can go earlier than that, but it gets obscure. I've always been a Cena guy. I'm going to put Cena on Rushmore no matter what for me. Booker T, but specifically King Booker, and no other answer is acceptable in my book.
Such a great character, man.
And I think for me, it's got to be Stone Cold to round out my top 3. I mean, Stone Cold was like, for me, the gold standard of character work and also just crazy ring work for years. So I think that'd be my top 3.
Oh yeah, Chris.
That's pretty solid, man. I could see that, and I was literally thinking Stone Cold, but I didn't get to watch him much growing up, being a little bit younger than you. So he was kind of way past his prime by the time I was interested in it. So I think first I would take the Undertaker. I also, like, again, I didn't really see too much like jean jacket early Undertaker, or it wasn't a jean jacket, but biker. I didn't see biker Undertaker. It was more like trench coat, hat Undertaker. And I just loved like when the lights go out and the bell, like the theatrics of his whole character and performance was just incredible. And for me, especially as a kid, it was a little bit spooky, but it wasn't scary. Like for me, the Boogeyman was scary. Like I got scared every time he came out, creeped me out. So Undertaker, number 1. Number 2, I, for some reason, really loved Rob Van Dam growing up. From like the ECW days. Yes, exactly. Rob Van Dam, man. He's just like the high flyers, I think, as a kid really got me. And it was like I was jumping on the bed, doing moonsaults and front flips and shit, trying to emulate these guys. Freaking love Rob Van Dam. And the last one, I would say one half of the Generation X, Shawn Michaels. God, I absolutely loved Shawn Michaels. Sweet Chin Music might have been one of the greatest finishers of all time. I feel like I could be wrong, but I feel like there's some pretty weak finishers out there these days. And that one, I think just like the build up to it, where it's like the stomping, the crowd knows what's coming. Every once in a while it gets ducked, but when that connects and it's sold, man, that is a hell of a move. So that's my 3: Undertaker, RVD, and Shawn Michaels.
Oh yeah, I mean, dude, I thought I had mine set, and then you guys started talking. I honestly, John Cena is what brought me into wrestling, man. I saw a dude that dressed like me, that liked rap music and was like kind of embolizing like what was going on in our time. I was big Cena dude. The spinner belt is my favorite belt of all time. And I know that doesn't sit well with wrestling traditionalists, but y'all can suck it. I think number 2, honestly, and it's funny that you brought him up, Chris. I fucking love the Boogeyman. I thought his entrance was so obscure, and yeah, it was scary, dude. It would fucking freak my shit out. And then like you'd see the worms coming out of his mouth, and he'd have that fucking stick in the clock. Yeah, man, the dude was. I remember. I don't remember what diva he freaked out, but I do remember there was like one where he like pops up out of nowhere with the worms in his mouth, and it's just fucking comedy. Dude, I gotta say the third one, Stone Cold was a pull. I love Stone Cold. I feel like Stone Cold, The Rock, and Hulk Hogan are on their own little, and probably throw Ric Flair in there too, on their own little Mount Rushmore of wrestlers. So I'm gonna kind of leave those alone. I'm going Umaga, man. Umaga was I fucking loved Umaga. I don't know what it was about the Samoan spike that he delivered felt so violent. And honestly, everything he did felt so violent. And for a big dude to move the way he did, and then to find out later that like the dude wasn't even in his right mind in the ring, like that's like crazy sauce for him to be that good of a performer and that out of his fucking skull. Like I loved Umaga. That was the first, really run of like, I mean, we obviously had the Wild Samoans and all that kind of stuff, but that's when you had Rosie and 3 a.m. or 3 Minute Express and the whole, you had Umaga. It was the first real run of Samoan dominance in WWE as far as I saw. So I'm going to go with Umaga. It's just, it's always interesting to ask that question, especially because when people who are not necessarily into wrestling find out that you like wrestling, their first question is always, who's your favorite wrestler? I don't know, guys. I feel like it's always impossible to answer to just one wrestler. Like, yeah, what time period are we in? What mood am I in? Like, I can't just pick one.
It's like asking somebody who the best basketball player of all time is.
Yeah.
And you have 3 people in the room, and one's 70, one's 50, and one's 20.
Yeah, they're whole different ball games, right? Yeah. The WWE we saw with Hulk Hogan saying "eat your vitamins and drink your milk" is not the WWE we have with Seth Rollins dressing up as Hangman Page. Like it's a little bit different worlds now. So, but yeah, no, I want to start throwing just a couple of random side questions in there for you guys, because I think it is cool for our viewers to kind of find out where we sit in our allegiances. The next thing I will give you is, can you guys name 3 wrestlers you want to see before they retire or you die, whichever happens first?
Well, shit. My problem is I have seen all of my favorite wrestlers in person. So
that is a problem.
I will name 3 wrestlers I haven't seen in person that I consider to be great wrestlers. I want to see Kenny Omega in person.
Okay.
Like, desperately want to see Kenny Omega in person. Same with Will Ospreay. I'd really like to see MJF in person, but I also kind of don't think that seeing him in person is going to change much about my opinion on him. So I don't know if I necessarily need to see him, but that's going to be, you can basically see all 3 of them in any given week if you happen to be in the right town, right? But, I would love to see a big show with all of them in separate matches or 2 of them paired off. Omega and Ospreay in a barn burner would be like a dream match to see. So I think that's going to be my 3.
Oh yeah. That's a solid 3. Omega is phenomenal live. I've seen Omega live once. I have not seen MJF as I've seen him. I was there at All Out for his return, but he wasn't actually there, so I hadn't seen MJF. But Ospreay, dude, that man can fly. I would love to see Ospreay live in person.
Well, and to think about with Omega, like he wrestled for a couple of years with Vertigo, which is insane to think about for as much high flying as he does. I just can't believe that that's even possible.
the fact that he stepped in after the diverticulitis. I don't think that's how you say it, but
Yeah.
I mean, dude's a stud, and just honestly, probably will go down as the most underrated wrestler of all time, or at least should have been recognized more. I will say, Chris, what you got, man?
Oh yeah, this one's tough. I mean, thinking about all the shows I went to back in the day, it's hard to remember who I've seen already. So I guess I'll just go clean slate, just guys I want to see. I think I'll do the easy, low hanging fruit. I would love to see John Cena one more time before he retires. I think that would be freaking awesome, especially to be able to say that you saw him on his retirement tour, one of the last times people got to see him perform. So that's pretty easy. Another one, guy that's kind of getting up there. Not sure how much longevity he has left in him. Randy Orton. Love to see one more RKO live and in person. I think that would be really fucking cool. Excuse my language, sorry. And of course, maybe not of course, but for me, kind of a newly acquired fandom for me. I want to see Cody Rhodes. I think he's a good performer in the ring. He's good with his entrance and crowd work. So, yeah, I'd probably say John Cena, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I just literally saw all three of those in Phoenix in August, and it was fucking sick, man. I was there for The Rock, though. I've always been a boy that wears his emotions on his sleeve, and I didn't go to really much wrestling growing up. Or in my teens or even early 20s. I didn't really start going to live shows until 30. So my bucket list is guys like this past WrestleMania would have been a bucket list for me. I'd never seen Taker. So to see a Taker tombstone, or a Taker chokeslam, I had never seen John Cena until he came here recently. I will tell you, as somebody who grew up a massive John Cena fan, that was the first time I ever cried at a wrestling event. And it was uncontrollable, and the tears came quick. As soon as that music hit, man, it was over. I think number 2 would definitely be Stone Cold. I've never seen Stone Cold. I'm a big fan of guys who operate well on the mic, and just honestly, I don't even need to see him wrestle. I want him in the middle of the ring with a microphone, just tearing a nasty promo at somebody. And the third one, honestly, and this might be a little bizarre, but I really like Dolph Ziggler. And I'd really like to see Dolph Ziggler live. And WWE, towards the later years of Dolph Ziggler's time there, did not use him very well. Which sucks because he's a good talent and definitely could have been a help for him. But now that him and Mustafa Ali are on the independents doing the TNA stuff and all that kind of stuff, like, dude, I wish nothing but the best for Dolph Ziggler, and I would have killed to see him in a big arena. But yeah, guys, we are slowly. Well, we're here. We've rounded the corner. We hit home. I love doing this podcast. This has been so much fun. Our time seems to always kind of just fly when we're on this thing. So it's nice to get in here and talk wrestling with you boys again. Next time we talk, I believe we'll be close to post Bash Berlin, right, Chris?
Yeah, it'll be the week after Bash Berlin is the 31st. And we should have episode 4 out on September 5th.
So that'll be a nice review episode. We'll have lots to talk about on that one. I'm hoping for as many heel turns and swerves as we can possibly get. So honestly, guys, thank you for spending your time with me this evening. I appreciate you guys. To our viewers, please make sure to like and subscribe. We are here at the Valley Sportsbook Network. We are Valley of the Suplex. Before I send this around the corner, I just want to thank you all for being here, for listening to us babble. Chris, you got anything for the people?
No, just excited to see what happens a week from Saturday. Should be a very interesting pay-per-view. I'm interested, super curious to see what other matches they have to fill in there. But definitely, like you said, going to be plenty to talk about next time.
Matt, how about you, my man?
I'm excited to see. I want to see what else comes out for Bash in Berlin. I'm excited to see how this goes. I'm kind of bummed that we didn't get an event in Berlin early enough to make a wall reference, because that would have been really funny. But other than that, there's still time to do like a cage match and call it the Berlin Wall match or something. And I'm kind of praying that they do something stupid. So we'll see what comes of it. That would be a Vince move, though. I'm not gonna lie. That would
They
be
just put
hilarious.
a wall in the middle of the ring that the guys have to like hurdle over.
Well, you make it like a War Games match, but you got to climb over a wall. Like, that would be the funniest possible thing.
Oh no!
I'll get off my my random tangent here. And,
I love it.
I appreciate you guys. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of with you guys. I'm looking forward to what more we're gonna get from Bash in Berlin. It's kind of we're kind of in that, like I said, that weird simmer mode with all the stories right now. So we got half the card. I think we'll have like probably 2 or 3 more matches added onto that. So it should be interesting to see what they cook with. Maybe we'll get a tag team match. Maybe they'll just throw it all in the blender and make it a ladder match like I want to, but I doubt it. Anyways, to all of you Suplexians out there, we thank you for tuning in. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening to us on a podcasting platform, go give us a 5-star rating. Leave a comment if you can. Comment doesn't need to say anything. You can say you like our hair or that the ocean's blue. We don't care. As long as you just write something. It helps us get into people's algorithms. Helps us get a little more, get the ball rolling a little bit on this thing. So definitely appreciate you gentlemen for your time as always. To the fan base, we'll see you guys in about a week. For Chris and Matt, I'm Niko. It's been another episode of Value the Suplex. Thank you guys. Peace.